Hey, have you ever found yourself sh- shriveling up, holding back, dimming your lights, checking your words, any of those things? Have you ever done that because you feared that you couldn't be your authentic self? You couldn't actually show up as yourself and be received. Maybe you're in the midst of a group of people and there's somebody talking loud, but if you were to express yourself, you feel like it probably wouldn't be the right setting, or people will start looking at you like you're crazy. Well, today we're going to break free from this cycle and we're going to talk about not shrinking or just really stepping into your vulnerability and authentic self and allowing your light to shine. So, I say this often, you being you is what's going to attract the right people in the right spaces to you. And oftentimes we don't do that because we have all of these fears. And yesterday I talked about fear of judgment. If you are finding this video for the very first time, if you're finding me for the very first time, my name is Shaw Jones and I am in a 21-day challenge for myself, right? But I ask that anybody who finds this video and you find this information attractive to you and where you are in your growth and development, please join in. And it doesn't matter if you're seeing this 10 months from now. It happens to be January 2025. But we want to break this cycle because this is the thing. We all are scared to show up at some point or another in our lives. And we all have fears. We all fear that people are going to judge us. We all fear that we're not good enough at some point or another. Some more than others. But at any given time, for you to be who you are, to do what you do, to show up on this plane, and this planet called Earth, you came here with a purpose. And if you hide that purpose, if you hide yourself, no one will ever know. And this is the thing. This is what really got me to kind of step out of my comfort zone and to start showing up is that your life directly impacts and affects somebody else's life. Let me say that one more time. Your life, you, and all that you do directly affects somebody else. And if you don't show up, it's a ripple effect because now, well, I also believe that if you don't show up, somebody else will replace you because we can't just have other people not doing what they need to do because you couldn't show up. So, what ultimately happens, in my opinion, is that when you don't show up, somebody else does that has similar skill sets, right? Not the same person because you are uniquely you. No one in this world has what you have. And that's why it's imperative for you to show up and do what you do because people are waiting for you. Your tribe is waiting for you to show up and to be authentic and to do the thing that you do. And oftentimes we get scared and we shrink back. So, if you're watching this video, I'm on a 21-day challenge about vulnerability, stepping out of my comfort zones and doing the things that scare me and talking about what at one point hindered me. Not that I'm at that same place now, but I do still have apprehensions. And I started this challenge because I wanted to grow more in this space because I wanted to talk about how YouTube has allowed me to get out my comfort zone and stop shrinking back and stop not showing all aspects of me. I'm good in certain aspects. You put me on a stage, girl, I got you, right? But as an introvert who has learned to navigate in extrovert territory, it's not always easy, right? And sometimes I just don't want to do it because I'm like, listen, that's not even what I really desire to do. However, I know that I have a calling on my life. I know that I have a voice. I have something to say. I played teacher as a little girl all day, every day. That was my thing. When everybody else was out here playing with Barbies, I was teaching. So I know I have a teaching spirit and I have to be in this space, right? But today I want to focus on the power of showing up fully. No shrinking, no hiding, just you. Just putting you out there, just being real and authentic. And, I hate that we even have to put real and authentic in sentences when we're talking about individuals who are real people. Like, you're not AI, you are a real individual. And so, it's kind of sad, but that's where we are in this world that we're living in. So let's just talk about it. So many of us shrink, and I'm putting us in there because I'm not going to act like I've never shrunk because I have. And so you could be in conversations with people you think you know, and you get that look like because you're starting to be you, right? And you showing up, and then you get that look, and then you kind of wait a minute, and then you dial back, right? We're not doing that in 2025. We're not dialing back. We're not shrinking so other people can feel comfortable with who they are. Um, we are not dimming our light because other people, and this is the thing, other people want you to dim your light because they have dimmed theirs and they're insecure. Or in a certain setting, they feel like they are the end all be all. So they want to project all of this stuff, right? And so then they don't want you to be in that space commanding the attention that they think they should get. But baby, this is the thing. Everything that is for you is for you. Everything that's for them is for them. And you may do similar things, but you do them in a different way. For instance, I used to have a girlfriend. We parted ways at one point, just as life would happen. But she was bigger than life. She was a beautiful person. She is. She is. She's a very beautiful person. Um, Talented. When I say talented, can make any room beautiful. Her spirit is wonderful, right? We did similar things, but I'm Cha Jones and she was she. She was her own person. And in rooms that she could command attention, that those weren't my rooms. And in rooms I could command attention, those were not her rooms. And in our friendship, we were friendly enough to know that I support you in your room. You support me in my room. And there is no overlap other than you can book both of us, right? And you're going to get two different messages. And so even though we're not in the same spaces as friends, I wouldn't say that we're friends today. We haven't spoken years. But um never did I ever want her to shrink so that I could feel like I was somebody, right? And never did she ever want me to shrink so that she could feel like she was somebody. Her message, her delivery, everything about her was completely different than me and what I was bringing to the table. And when you are true friends and you do something that's similar, you just find that thing that separates you. Y'all still can be friends and you still can support that person. But if that person wants you to shrink because you entered the room that they're in, baby, first of all, they're not your friend. And everything that they're doing is contrary to what friendship is all about. And more importantly, you can't take their light. You cannot. You cannot take their light. It's theirs. It was given to them. And your light was given to you. And anytime somebody asks you to be something contrary to who you are so that they can feel good about themselves, baby, they not it. So today we're going to talk about how we step in our power even when we feel like we're infringing on other people's space. So first things first, vulnerability is not about being loud. You have some people who walk in a room and they got to be loud, and and that if that's who they are, okay. But it's about showing up as your whole self, fears and all, and just allowing what you have to offer the world to come out. And you can do that in so many different ways where sometimes it may it may make other people shrink. And the reason why that is because they're dealing with their own insecurities. And fear and judgment and insecurities all come from the same space. And when you don't show up and you're not operating in your authenticity, that tends to happen. And so you have to show up. You have to show up for yourself, and you have to show up for the people who are waiting for you. Because like I said, there's somebody in the wing that's waiting for your story, because your story resonates with them. If I told that same story, it wouldn't resonate because number one, it's not my story. And number two, I'm not I'm not the conduit for that story. So we have to be very clear about when we are stepping in our authenticity and we are doing what, sometimes it seems very vulnerable for us. We have to remember that we have our own voice, and that voice is going to resonate with the right people. Some people I just don't click with. I'm not their person. And I'm not going to shift being me so that I can participate in what they got going on. It's not for me. And that used to bother me at some point because I would be like, well, because you always want to ask, am I not enough? But yes, you are. But you might be too much for them. All right. No, it's not that you're not enough. You might be too much for that particular arena. So quit trying to dumb yourself down to fit in circles that you too big for in the first place. Did I say that? Listen to me again. Quit trying to dumb yourself down to fit into arenas that you too damn big for. You outgrew that a long time ago. Now you want to go shrink and circle back to something that is not for you. Talking to somebody today. I mean this. I cannot be more sincere in my heart. Boo, listen to me. Baby, there are places that you outgrew a long time ago, but you keep trying to fit in. This is not that year. This is the year for you to stand up, show up, and be all of who you are. Be who you are. There are places who denied me. Could not get in. And I was be like, well, I got all the credentials, I did all the things. It was not for me. And then as life would happen, years go by or time goes by, and you realize why you did not get access into that room because that room was not for you. Yet you kept trying, trying to knock that door down, trying not. So when you tell me no, and sometimes no is for not right now, right? There might be a reason why you didn't get in that particular door. Now, I'm not saying don't circle back and don't try to, you know, still push a door. But at the same time, some doors, and you can feel it in your spirit, where that door is not for you because those people are not your people. And so we're trying to be accepted in places that cannot receive us because they're not tuned to your same frequency. So stop that. We're not doing that in 2025. We're gonna move beyond that. All right. That's what we're doing. So I understand we doubt ourselves. I understand that sometimes we are in a space where we feel like we're not being received because we don't have enough. I'm here to tell you that you have enough for whoever your audience is. Why? Because they're at the same place that you are, or a little bit under where you are, so that so you can help elevate them. But you are in the right place. But if you don't ever show up and present who you are and what you have as a gift, you're gonna be hidden in plain sight. We're not doing that in 2025. And people used to come to me and say, "Well, you're so powerful. You've done so much. Why don't they know?" It ain't my time. I'm gonna continue to do what I do, and I'm gonna continue to learn what I need to learn, and the doors will be open. And it's funny because some people come to me, and I even have one girlfriend. She calls me her playing big friend because you know when I look at something, I don't say, "Look, give me the least of it." What are we doing? I've never been one to, even if I felt like I didn't have enough, right? Or I wasn't enough. When certain things came to me, I didn't feel like I should shrink and just take anything. You're not just about to give me anything. Like, excuse what? We're not doing that. We not. I'm confident enough to know, like, nah, mm-mm. And I even remember back in the day when I was a teenager, like, got my first job when I was like 13. And, certain people would, oh, this is prime example. This pops in my head. But when I was like 13, 14, and it was time to get a job, we had summer jobs. And then after the summer, then when we got to junior high and then start going to high school, all my friends had got jobs at Burger King or McDonald's or whatever fast food. And I had always said I would never work at fast food. I know I never wanted to work at fast food. And so I had been applying to all these retail places and didn't get it. I didn't get any jobs, right? So I remember telling my mom, take me to Burger King so I can apply because like three or four of my friends were working at Burger King. And she was like, I thought you said you'd never work at fast food. I was like, but I can't get no job. Nobody's giving me a job and I've applied. And what am I doing? She was like, so you gonna go do something that you said you would never do because that's what everybody else is doing. And that's not where you want to be. She said, okay, I tell you what, where do you want to work? So there was this like retail stores, kind of like Target. So I had been applying to retail jobs. Like there was a place called Shopco, and it was kind of like, in between Target, Kmart, and Walmart. It was a combination. And I really wanted to work there because it was close to my house. And then I could get discounts and I could shop there. And so my mom said, well, then go apply. I said, I already applied. I applied a couple weeks ago. They've hired a couple people, but nobody's called me back. She said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to go back into the store. You're going to apply. And she said, then you're going to go home and you're going to think about what it is that you want and see yourself working there. And I was like, oh, okay, Lord. So she's like, you're going to pray about it and you're going to let it go. And so that's exactly what I did. And 2 days later, I got a call asking me to come do an interview. And I went to do the interview. I got the job, took my test, did training. And I say all that to say that sometimes we shrink back or we start doing things that we see other people doing or what's working for other people, but that's not your lane. That's not where you're supposed to show up. That is not what you're supposed to be doing. And so if you shrink to be at somebody else's level, how does that help you or them or anybody else? It doesn't. So the best thing that we can do is to step into what our desires are. And just because you did something or like you applied for something it didn't work, it could be that that's not for you. It could be the wrong timing. It could be that you just didn't answer the questions correctly or go back, try it again. Now, if it consistently is not working, then you have to try to look at what needs to be adjusted and then move forward. But for you to be all of who you are and to attract the people that you need to attract to the right relationships, the right clients, the right audience, whatever it is, you can't be the best version of somebody else. That doesn't work. It does not work. So Recognize the moments that you are in where you see yourself shrinking and you see, okay, I do this often. And let's stop that, right? Because now we want to start showing up. And you don't have to do that in a major way one day, right? We can do that in increments and show up greater and greater and greater and greater, day by day by day by day, right? So pay attention to when you feel the urge. Is it fear? Is it something that's a habit? Is it a triggering moment? Something happened to you as a child, and in that instance, it always makes you shrink back. Take a journal note. And this is a great time to mention that I do have a um, workbook, so to speak. It's not really a workbook, it's some worksheets that you can follow along with this 21-day journey and fill out the worksheets. So it has affirmation, it also has prompts, journal prompts, so that you can have your own journal of how to show up and be more vulnerable. It's in my description, and it's the blueprint for being your authentic self. So go ahead and get that and follow along. Another thing is challenge your your inner critic. Your inner critic is there to keep you safe, but sometimes your inner critic is telling you stuff that you've already outgrown. And so most of the time it's not even fear. It's the fact that you have started to believe these doubts that you have. And you've told yourself these things over and over and over, and they have created limiting beliefs. So now it's time to challenge that critic and tell it to stop. Ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen if I do show up as myself? What's the worst thing that's happened? Somebody's going to criticize you. Somebody's going to boo you. Somebody's not going to mess with you. All of those things are something that you can move through. And oftentimes, nothing is going to happen. Could it something happen? Sure, it could. But oftentimes, nothing's going to happen at all. You're just going to realize that it's so funny because whenever I do something that I'm like, oh my God, this is not going to work out, or, I've always put this thought in my head that it's not going to show up and be anything. And then once you do it, you're like, well, it's easy. Just think about, I think about like going on a trip and maybe like challenging myself to bungee jump. I haven't done that. But or to take a hot air balloon ride or do something like, because I don't really like heights, but to do something that's like, climbing up something and jumping off of it and realizing that was so easy. Same thing here. When you show up and you actually show a little bit more of yourself, get a little bit more comfortable with putting yourself out there, things become so easy. And, like I said before, you don't have to do everything right now, today, in this moment. You can start small, take baby steps, um, share your opinion casually in a conversation that you may not have, you know, you would never have given your opinion. Raise your hand at work to be like, in a meeting, I would like to add something to that you know, they're like, oh, she's never said nothing in the meeting. You always sit back and you keep your opinion to yourself. It's time for you to show up because you don't know who's been waiting for you to show up. Maybe your boss been waiting for you to just like jump in there so that they can showcase that you have this skill or talent, and that's where your raise comes from. But if you don't ever just do anything, then how is somebody going to know who you are and what you have to offer? Um, every time you show up a little bit more, you grow a little bit more. And eventually you get to a place where you feel comfortable in whatever it is that you're doing. But you first have to show. So I hope that this encouraged you a little more. Um, we all have fears. We all have things that we still need to overcome and accomplish. But you have to really be willing to put yourself out there in a different light for you to grow in a different way. If you continue to do the same thing, expecting a different result, that is by label insanity. We are not insane, crazy, stupid, none of those things. We have something to share. We just feel like, we've bought into the belief that we're not good enough, that nobody wants to listen. Listen, I've been doing YouTube for like 8 months consistently. And there are moments where I have 1,000 views. There are moments where I have 20 views. And in those 20 views, I'm like, you know what? I put that shit out there. I really did. I did that thing. Put my whole self into that. And nobody cared to watch it. And for whatever reason, it didn't work. That doesn't mean I should stop. That doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. That doesn't mean that I don't have anything to offer the world. The right time in the right place, the right people will see it. That's it. That's what I have for you today. And so I hope that you continue to show up. This is day 4. And so we're gonna keep at this. Tomorrow I'm gonna show up a little bit more. Until then, I want you to keep pushing through. I want you to keep showing up, and I want you to be authentically who you are. In that, um, you're worthy to be seen, heard, and celebrated. But nobody can celebrate you if you over in the corner, in the closet, hiding. They can't. So don't shrink back. Stand up. Don't shrink back. Stand up. It's time to stand up. It's time to step into all of who you are and let go of the perfection. Nobody is perfect. I have one too. Whatever that one too is, I have one. But guess what? Push through that and show up authentically. That's the best I can do. Go ahead and get my worksheet so that you can follow along, do the journal prompts, uh, do a meditation around the affirmations, and just let's do this thing. We got a couple more weeks. And at the end of that, we're going to assess where we started and how we finished. But until next time, I'm Chaja.